चल रहा है वो.
Sir, let's start, sir.
Okay.
Main
Now, continue further with our discussion on the ancestral nature of the property. I would like to mention two things here. That in Punjab, it was the customary law which was prevalent. Everything was being decided according to the custom. Now, customs were defined either in the Wazibul Arts, when the settlement of the in the villages were held, or some other practices being followed by the persons from time to time, and that was evolved as a custom. So custom, as Dr. Dayal has told us, that look here, you are living in hostel number 4 of the Punjab University, and the department is there. तो आप लास्ट वाले विंग में रह रहे हो. लास्ट वाले विंग में रहते रहते आपको एक दिन पता लगता है कि 8 बजे क्लास थी, भैया आप लेट हो गए. अब सीधे रास्ते से जाओगे तो देर लगेगी. तो व्हाट यू डू इज दैट यू क्रॉस द लॉन. तो थोड़ा सा इंप्रेशन पड़ता है उस पे, घास पे, एंड देन लॉट ऑफ पीपल गो ऑन क्रॉसिंग. तो फिर वो एक पगडंडी बन जाती है. ठीक है, दैट पगडंडी इज कस्टम. एक ने शुरू किया, बाकियों ने फॉलो किया. तो दैट वाज द कस्टमरी लॉ. जो कस्टमरी लॉ था, दैट वाज प्रिवेलेंट इन पंजाब, एंड देयर वाज a lot of confusion in Punjab and litigation that whether and in what manner this cession to the property is to continue or is to devolve upon. Then in 1976, the matter was referred to full bench of Punjab and High Court. In 1976, the full bench ruled that Hindu law, Mitakshara Hindu law, is applicable to the facts and circumstances of the case. So it is not the customary law which will govern. Customary law may be an exception, but the main prevalence, main thrust will be on Mitakshara law. So Mitakshara law was made applicable, and then again in the litigation which arose after 1976 also, defendants used to take the plea that look here, we are not governed by Mitakshara law, we are still governed by custom. But ultimately, with the passage of time, that practice, that pleas were negatived by the court in view of the full bench judgment. Then the question was that no, now we are governed by the full bench judgment. Now, in the last lecture, I had discussed that there was one judgment of Justice Punchi in which it has been held by the court that in Punjab the son has no right to seek partition. So that was a mixed question where the law and the customary law was made applicable, because under the custom, son was not entitled to ask for the partition. So mixing both the things, the judgment came that a son has no right to ask for the partition, but that judgment has been followed in 3 or 4 judgments, but that is not the correct law till it is being argued and properly represented before the higher authority, in which the review of that judgment will be there, and then it will come to the surface that that law is wrong. Now, secondly, there used to be a lot of litigation in which a son used to come and file the suit against the father that look here, father is alienating the property without any legal necessity or the benefit of the state. Property is joined in the family ancestral property, personal property, and injunctions were issued by the courts very liberally. And once the injunction was issued, there used to be some compromise between the father and the son used to get something out of property owned by the father as a karta of the family. That judgment or that law was formulated by Justice R.S. Narula in 1971 or 72 judgment, in which it was said that a preventive relief can be granted. This is a preventive relief. Injunction is a preventive relief that, okay, you don't alienate the property. Now, what happened was that in 1987, a full division bench headed by Justice S.P. Goyal, and in 1988, Supreme Court, pages 576, it was held that no injunction can be issued against the Karta. The entire law was abrogated. Now, one thing had happened by that time. By the time the law was, that judgment was abrogated and overruled, was that it had percolated even to the पटवारीस. पटवारी गांव से भेज देते थे बंदे को कि ये जमाबंदी ले और वकील साहब के पास जा, तेरे को जाते ही स्टे मिल जाएगा. And after many years, this practice continued because that became a law of the land. Now, in England, what happens is that once a law has been made or a judgment has been passed and it has been applied and taken into practice by the people at large, then those Britishers never used to change that judgment. They say that no, now it may be against law, we are not going to change it. Secondly, if we look at that judgment, एक तरफ तो हम we are preaching that prevention is better than cure. These days also we are saying that there is no cure for corona. You have to take all the precautions. You have to prevent yourself from being a victim of corona, COVID-19. So that injunction is a preventive relief. When we come to section of 36 of the Specific Relief Act, if you have got Specific Relief Act handy at your end, then you can see the judgment. The section which starts with preventive relief, how granted. It's a preventive relief. Now, preventive relief, how granted? Preventive relief is granted at the discretion of the court by injunction, temporary or perpetual. So that was a preventive relief which was being given to the person that, look here, father will not alienate the property except for legal necessity or benefit of the estate. But they say no. These two judgments, 1987 DB and 1988 Supreme Court, it has been held that what you can do is that you have an equally efficacious remedy. Section 41 of the Specific Relief Act has been invoked, in which it has been said that if there is an equally efficacious remedy, then injunction cannot be granted. Now, equally efficacious remedies that you will have to that means that you will have to file a suit for challenging the alienation made by the father. So there is a round of litigation in which you have to implead your father, other co-partners, if not other co-partners, then the person to whom the property has been alienated. Then again, if a property has been purchased by a person, Bahubali, then it will become a nightmare for you to fight a case against him. And by that time, you will get the property after litigation. You know that how many years it takes to take the case to a logical end. It consumes years together. 10 साल लग गए, 20 साल लग गए, 20 साल के बाद अगर आपको प्रॉपर्टी मिल भी गई, then that is of no use. So in those circumstances, what was there was that preventive relief was debarred by the courts. So according to me, that preventive relief, grant of preventive relief was one of the good panacea for all the ills. Now the sons are being deprived by the father. If a father has 4 sons, one son takes the father into confidence, father alienates the entire property to him, or he sells the property to third person, gets the sale consideration. By the sale consideration, he purchases another property, and then it is being sold to some other person. So all those things, pitfalls, are there in the law. So that law earlier, which was a good ground for saving the ancestor property, has been lost by us on account of the judicial indictment. Now comes that what are the duties of the कर्ता. कर्ता को प्रॉपर्टी अगर उसने बेचनी है तो तीन चीजें होनी चाहिए. एक तो आपातकाले, in case of emergency. Second is कुटुंबार्थे, के फैमिली की जरूरत है, कुटुंबार्थे के कुटुंब के कारण के on account of the family he is selling the property. And third was धर्मार्थे, कि धर्म का काम कोई करना है तो उसके लिए he can sell the property. Now that selling of the property depends upon various circumstances. Now two further conditions were there, that in case apatakale there was legal necessity or benefit of the estate. Now what is legal necessity? That has not been defined anywhere under the Hindu law or under any other act for the time being in force. It depends upon the facts and circumstances of the case. What can be the legal necessity or what cannot be the legal necessity? That has to be decided. Question of evidence is concerned, and then subjective views of the judges will be there, subjective views of the advocates will be there, that what is the legal necessity or not, whether the legal necessity exists or not. Second is the benefit of a state. Now, benefit of the estate means I'm having a property. Suppose I'm having a showroom or some property at one place. It is yielding very less income to me. Got it? Now, if I sell the property and purchase a large area of the property, which is yielding more income than what I used to get from the earlier property, that is known as benefit of the estate. Benefit of the estate means your joint personal property. Estate का benefit तभी होगा if the income is more. मान लीजिए he was having 2 kilos of land which was situated in a village in the very near to the Abadi. वो 2 किले से उसको produce बहुत कम आ रही है. Then he sells that property, 2 kilos of land, and purchases 10 kilos of land in some other village. The produce is the same, but he is getting now the produce of 10 kilos of land. तो उसकी आमदन 5 गुना बढ़ गई. So that is also considered to be the benefit of the estate. Now, if the benefit of the estate is there, then comes the question that if the parcener is challenging that property, they are challenging that alienation, then what will happen? Who will be liable to prove the existence of legal necessity or benefit of the estate? Please unmute.
So can you repeat the question, sir?
Who will have to prove that there existed a legal necessity or benefit of the estate?
One who claims it.
Yesterday, in response to my question, your answer was that the onus is on the karta.
No, that was regarding something else.
Achha,
that was in some other context. So if the
Right.
property is sold, property is sold,
even then the karta has to prove
Karta
that
has to discharge the initial and onus.
That it
But
was for
the
this.
real onus, but the real onus will lie on the person who is purchasing the property.
How can he show that what is the legal necessity or the?
So that is why
He
there
will
are-
show it otherwise that there was no legal necessity.
No. The purchaser,
Yes.
sir, is
Now
saying the
purchase-
purchaser.
when a person is purchasing- Now I say that purchaser. Why? Because purchaser has to first make the inquiry. Buyer beware, bona fide purchaser. He has to make the inquiry whether as to whether there exists a legal necessity or not, whether there is a benefit to the estate or not. Now, then he has to make the payment. Then third is that it is not his duty to see that the amount has been actually appropriated towards that need, legal necessity or benefit of the estate.
So that is on the bona fide purchaser, sir, to
No, he is to show that
see
he has
before
made the inquiries. Secondly, he has paid the consideration. Thirdly, he is not to see that whether that amount has actually been spent by the karta on that very legal necessity. Now, legal necessity is कि करता जुआ खेलता है, जुए का डेट हो गया, he cannot be allowed to sell the property. But suppose he has undertaken a business में लॉस हो गया, अब उसमें प्रॉपर्टी बेचनी पड़ रही है, so then he can sell the property because that will be considered to be a legal necessity. So legal means something which is permitted under the law. Necessity is the compulsion. So it cannot be divided into or categorized under various categories. It depends upon the facts and circumstances. It depends upon the facts and circumstances of the case that what is the legal necessity or what is not the legal necessity. So that has to be seen by the person. Then, as far as the legal necessity is concerned, मान लीजिए श्राद्ध करना है, मैरिज करनी है डॉटर की, या फैमिली में किसी की ऐसी बीमारी आ जाती है, कैंसर हो गया या हार्ट की प्रॉब्लम आ गई है, तो then if he sells the property for that purpose and shows that the amount which he has received by sale of that property has been spent or was required to be spent on such and such amount, then certainly it will be covered under the definition of the word legal necessity. So legal necessity is something which is legal, which cannot be turned illegal or unlawful or fraudulent or deceitful. Similarly is the question of benefit of a state. So if the karta is selling the property for legal necessity or benefit of the estate, then no consent is required to be taken by him from the other co-partners. He can straightway sell the property. Because other co-partners, एक भाई को हार्ट अटैक हो गया, उसके स्टेंट पड़ने हैं या उसका बाईपास होना, उसको 5 लाख रुपए लगना है, दूसरा कहता भैया मैं तो नहीं लूंगा पैसे, why should I pay? So then there it is the prerogative of the karta to sell the property and save the son who is also one of the co-partners. So that can be termed as a case of legal necessity. So legal necessity has to depend upon the fact and circumstances of the case. Now, मान लीजिए there are more than 4 co-partners in the property. One is karta, 3 are other members, and with the consent of all the 4 members, the joint Hindu family can be sold. Ancestral property can be sold with the consent of all the members for benefit of the estate, for any other purpose, or for investment in the business. If ancestral property पड़ी है, इसको बेच दो, कारोबार में लगा लो, कारोबार में हमें we will be earning more profit. Otherwise, the business is not picking up in the right perspective. So it depends upon the facts and circumstances of the case. Then comes partial necessity. Partial necessity is something which is also covered under the Hindu law. कि आपको 2 लाख की जरूरत है, आप 10 लाख की प्रॉपर्टी बेचते हो, या आपकी 1 करोड़ की प्रॉपर्टी है, जरूरत आपकी 2 लाख की है, आप 1 करोड़ की प्रॉपर्टी बेच देते हो. So you can sell a part of the property also, that is known for necessity. That is known as sale for partial necessity. So that will be there. Then the question comes, the gains of learning. I asked a question from the interns who were deputed to me by PURC this year, that do you know that what is the gain of learnings? And can anybody answer that? What the reply could have been made by those? Please unmute.
अनम्यूट है सर.
हाँ जी, अच्छा.
अनम्यूट आएगा.
क्या आप सोच सकते हैं कि उन्होंने क्या आंसर दिया मेरे को? देवर 7वें सेमेस्टर से 9वें सेमेस्टर से बच्चे, मैंने उनसे पूछ लिया कि गेन्स ऑफ लर्निंग क्या होता है. वो कहते हैं सर ये कौन से सब्जेक्ट में आता है?
ठीक है.
And they are studying in 9th semester. And after one semester, they will become the law graduates. And tomorrow, if they are selected in PCS by some means, by or sheer luck or by hook or crook, then you can very well imagine that what will happen. तो आप कह रहे हो कि भी वो जैसा बैठे हैं, सुन ही नहीं रहे हैं, क्या करोगे आप? अगर 9th स्टैंडर्ड तक आके 9th सेमेस्टर तक आके आपको गेन्स ऑफ लर्निंग का ही नहीं पता और ये नहीं पता कि किस एक्ट में आती है, then certainly that is there, because then gains of learning था जो पहले it was a point of controversy between the various advocates, various high courts. Ultimately, Gains of Learning Act 1930 was passed. तो उसमें कह दिया कि गेन्स ऑफ लर्निंग चाहे कैसे भी आई हो आपको, that will be considered to be the self-acquired property of the person who is earning that gains of learning. Now example is given कि दो बच्चे हैं क्लास में, both are doing MD. MD करने के बाद डॉक्टर ऑफ मेडिसिन बन गए, एक प्रैक्टिस करता है, उसके पास एक सेकंड की भी फुर्सत नहीं है, दूसरा बिल्ला बैठा है. So that means it is his own capability. चलो सेकंड एग्जांपल दिया डॉक्टर दीवान ने, एक पहलवान है, सुल्तान है, वो 50 अंडे खाता है और खाता है, 2 मुर्गे भी खाता है, ये खाता है, वो खाता है. Everything is eats out of the joint family funds. And tomorrow if he gains certain amounts, then whether those will be considered to be his own personal earnings, the answer is yes. He may have eaten or he may have spent the amount from the ancestral property, compulsory property, but still it will be considered to be his personal income, which cannot be clubbed together. Now, one concept of compulsory property is there, that you can throw your self-acquired property into the common hodgepodge. मैंने अगर प्रॉपर्टी ले भी ली है, तो I say to my father that okay, make it to be an ancestral property or joint into family property. I don't want to claim any right in the said property. Then also, by throwing that property acquired by a co-partner, it can be said to be a ancestral property or can be said to be a joint into family property, which all the persons will have a right. Then comes the right of partition. Right of partition है, जब partition होगा meets and bounds में, then everyone will be having a share according to his status in the family. Status means degree of his in the pedigree table. कहाँ पे क्या आता है, per capita आएगा या per type आएगा. So that has to be there. That then comes partial partition is also recognized under the Hindu law. कि 10 प्रॉपर्टी हैं, हम कहते हैं 5 का तो हम बंटवारा कर लेते हैं, बाकी 5 को हम इकट्ठा ही रखेंगे, ज्वाइंट ही रखेंगे. So that is also permissible under the law. As far as family arrangement is concerned, family arrangement can also be made regarding any of the properties among us the co-partners, and those family settlements have been upheld by the Supreme Court in so many judgments, but now they are reluctant to pass any decree on the basis of a family settlement. because they say that no, you want to avoid the payment of court fees and registration charges on this. So otherwise, family arrangement is recognized under the law. So as far as this discussion was concerned, I have broadly covered every aspect which comes into play on our daily basis. These cases can be gone through by you while reading the full text in either of the books by Dr. Diwan or by Mullah or any other main Hindu law hai. There are other so many authors who have made the commentaries on Hindu law. So all that can be gathered from there. So this is what is the basic concept in the arena of ancestral property. Anything else?
Then it is the question answer session.
You can start now.
Is anybody asking or shall I ask?
Go ahead, Karan.
Thank you.
जिज्ञासु बालक की उंगली है ऊपर.
Just coming to my mind, Mr. Jindal gave a very lucid presentation about the family property, about the joint Hindu family property, ancestral property. Sir, while we are talking about the learnings part, which the doctrine of
Gains of learning.
yes, sir, Gains of Learning, Act 1930. I have a question. Like you gave an example that there's a person who studied. Like for an instance, there is a person who became lawyer because of the earnings of the joint Hindu family property. Money was spent on his education, and he eventually turned out to be a good lawyer and makes good money. That's his earning.
Yes.
But the investment made on him is of joint family property, and whatever he gains out of it for his personal would remain his personal gains of learning. In the similar set of circumstances, after 2005, is there any change or any discussion on this aspect? Because often we see that in various wills and all, we say that because I have spent money on my daughter's wedding, therefore I do not think that I should give anything to her, and I would leave my property to my sons. Now, spending on marriage is no different to spending on food of a pahalwan or education of a lawyer or of an MD. So what she gains out of it, how can it be questioned in the sense that this cannot be a ground because that was her gains which she had made on learning? She eventually got married, so therefore she cannot be left out on this ground alone.
Now there is a distinction between the gains of learning and the marriage of a daughter. Because father has a power to give something or spend something on the marriage of the daughter.
Right.
That has to be a small gift, small spending, not the entire property. Secondly, it has to be out of love and affection.
Right, sir. Mm-hmm.
He should be a member of the family. You can say related by blood. So if he spends some money or he gives some property on by way of gift to the daughter, then certainly that will not be considered to be anything illegal. But as far as the gains of learning is concerned, after the passing of the act, that becomes his self-acquired property.
Right.
Maybe he has spent or he has been maintained by the family, because otherwise also it is his right to be maintained out of the family.
Right, sir. Right.
Now
Also,
take the case
family.
Now take the case of Dr. Trehan. Let us.
Yes. Yes, sir. Dr. Naresh Trehan.
Dr. Trehan is there, senior advocates like Dhirendra Trehan. So he's a known heart surgeon.
Okay.
He has gained something out of that. Everybody is not Trehan. Every surgeon has not gained so popularity. Similarly, our senior advocates are there, Mr. Harish Salve and all others. They have gained something out of their own profession by their own hard work.
Right, sir.
by using their brain. Now, one example was being always given by Dr. Diwan. He says, he used to say, कि भाई 60 की क्लास है, किताब भी एक है, पढ़ाने वाला भी एक है, तो एक पास होता है या दो फेल होते हैं, बाकी पास होते हैं, और सबके नंबर बराबर क्यों नहीं आते? There lies the answer. Gains of learning.
Right.
How much you have gained? So gains of learning is something personal.
Right, sir.
It is not the question that the joint family can say, no, look here, you can't be given this share, or you will have to jointly owned by us and divided according to the joint family norms, personal norms. So that is why the act was passed at that time, Hindu Gains of Learning Act. Because there are so many acts which had been now. Structure was that women had a right in the property, and Women's Right to Property Act was also passed. It was the Hindu Women's Right to Property Act 1937.
So if we read this act, hello.
हाँ जी.
अब इसमें section 3 says something little different. Should I read it out?
Yes.
I have shared it on the screen. If you can see it.
No rule or interpretation of Hindu law. No gains of learning shall be held not to be the exclusive and separate property by reason of his learning having been known or imparted to him by any member living or deceased of his joint funds of the family, and on himself or his family living, which he has acquired the learning, has been maintained and supported on him. Now, merely for certain reasons. Now, this is to be interpreted with these words, merely for certain reasons. So
here they intend to say is that they intend to say is that if he has earned something out of it, it can't be his exclusive property.
Oh, but merely for certain reasons.
But
not for all intents and purposes.
But the main reason they say is that his learning having been in whole or in part imparted to him by any member living or deceased of his family, or with the aid of the joint funds of his family. What the intent? Suppose someone has become a doctor. Dr. Trehan has become doctor by virtue of the funds provided by joint Hindu family. Gains of learning जो आती है ना वो member ने दिया है. नहीं उसके आगे लिखा हुआ है or with the aid of the joint funds of his family or with the aids of the fund. It is written there. Clause A में है ये.
Parted by
him by any member living this or with the living
with the aid of the any part of the joint family or with the aid of the funds of any member thereof.
बोल्ड कर दो विशाल जी.
हाँ जी.
बोल्ड कर दो, हाईलाइट कर दो ना उसको.
Not all can read it.
हाँ ऐसे.
So if we read this, then technically it would mean notwithstanding any custom, rule or interpretation of the law, no gains
not to be no gains of learning shall be held not to be the exclusive
and separate property of the
that is exactly what I'm saying. It's
notwithstanding तो non-obstanding clause आ गई.
ठीक है जी.
उसके बाद not फिर डाल दिया उन्होंने.
So ultimately this
कहते हैं ये जो नीचे तो दिए हुए हैं इन सर्कमस्टांस में भी ये नहीं कहा जाएगा कि वो उसकी गेन्स ऑफ लर्निंग नहीं है.
Exactly right.
हाँ. under these circumstances also, it will not be said that it is not his personal earnings.
That is exactly what I'm saying. So they say is
देखो
that
दो बार नोट आ गया ना, पहले तो not standing.
exactly वही मैं कह रहा हूँ ना.
आप ऊपर से पढ़िए ना जी. No gains of learning.
इसको नेगेटिव की बजाय पॉजिटिव
held not to be. held not to be exclusive and separate. Not be, not आ गया ना जी.
So it will not be held to be exclusive.
Vishal ji, what is your understanding of it, Vishal ji?
Both interpretation are same.
What I intend to say is that this would mean that presuming Dr. Trehan has become doctor by virtue of the funds which have been contributed by the out of the joint funds of the family, then the property made by him shall not be exclusive and separate property.
आप इसमें लाइक पढ़ो ना, no gains.
But वो notwithstanding आया हुआ है.
वो तो notwithstanding any custom है ना, वो तो notwithstanding any custom है.
नहीं, custom भी है आगे, वो भी है rule और interpretation of the Hindu law.
Hindu law.
वो भी लगा.
नहीं, आप आगे पढ़ो तो सही.
उसके बाद आगे पढ़ो, no gain of learning shall be held not to be.
कि कोई भी gains of learning ये नहीं कहा जाएगा कि उसकी exclusive property नहीं है इन दो reasons में.
In those reasons.
अच्छा.
Not दो बार आ गया ना जी.
ठीक है.
Confuse कर दिया उन्होंने.
Right.
Otherwise तो फिर इसका मतलब ही नहीं रहता कोई. There remains to be no purpose behind this.
ठीक है. They've made it too confusing, I feel.
Yes.
But now it is that no and not to be read together, na, then it makes it clear.
No gains of earning shall be held not to be
exclusive, barely because that it has come because of the funds from this one and so.
Because of these.
ठीक. Interesting.
Sometimes we have to read in between the lines.
If actually one would have read it in isolation and alone, not by way of discussion, the interpretation would have been different. Unless you read it 10 times.
But the thing is that it is in vogue for 90 years.
It is vogue 90 years.
No interpretation has come otherwise.
That's right.
So that means this is the law of the.
आज मेदांता हॉस्पिटल बच गया, नहीं तो गया था.
अच्छा जी.
Joint हो गया था.
That is what I am giving an example. That look here. That now what happens is, देखिए ठीक है कि my understanding of the law is कि अगर 100 बच्चे graduate बनते हैं तो उनमें से only 5 join the practice. ठीक है जी. 5 to 10. Count those 5 to 10 into hundreds. Then out of those hundreds, only 10% remain in the profession. Profession में रह के भी only 2 or 3 persons come on the top. मान लीजिए, let us take the case of High Court. There are number of advocates, but how many are on the top? Known advocates. 5 to 10%. So it depends upon the gains of learning. Very good. जैसे मान लीजिए एक शहर में है कोई स्वीट मेकर है, हल्दी वाला है, उसका नाम चल रहा है, बाकी किसी का नहीं नाम चला. It depends upon the person to person. Any other question?
Anyone else? हाँ, गगन, go ahead.
सर, इसमें जो हमने व्हाट व्हेन कैन करता डिस्पोज ऑफ द जब हमने बात की तो उसमें नेसेसिटी कुमदान तो या धर्मा के काम के लिए किया. डज द स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ प्रूफ जो नेसेसिटी के रिगार्डिंग है वो सेम है जो हम क्वासी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट माइनर को लुनाटिक को हम प्रोवाइड करते हैं?
उसमें जो धर्म के लिए हम स्पेंड करेंगे ना जी, then the onus will always remain on the karta. He has to justify that whether he has spent it for just dharam purpose. It is not on the person who is gaining the property. Suppose I gift a property to an ideal for setting up a mandir. then whether that was required or not. मान लीजिए मेरे joint into family के पास एक ही property थी and I have gifted that property, so whether that can be justified or not. But if I have 10 properties and out of those 10 properties I have gifted one property, then certainly that can be said to be a part of the property. It is not the entire property.
सर अब जैसे इंडिविजुअल पर्सपेक्टिव ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ कास्ट डिफरेंट भी हो सकता है. इंडिविजुअल पर्सपेक्टिव ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ कास्ट डिफरेंट हो सकता है. मान लीजिए कोई जट है, वो कहता है मेरे को जमीन एक्वायर करनी है, क्या है वो कहता है मेरे को इनकम जनरेटिंग एसेट्स ऐड करनी है. और अगर कोई ब्राह्मण है, वो कहता है कि मेरे को सिर्फ और सिर्फ धर्म के काम में करना है. तो लीगली हर कोई अपने पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से सही है, बट क्या उसमें कोई स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ जो हम बैलेंसिंग कहेंगे वो कोर्ट डिसाइड करेगा, या वो अलाउड है कि करता ही अपने वे से कर सकता है?
करता ही पे करेगा, बट once that is challenged, कर्ता ने जो कर दिया वो तो फाइनल हो गया. There is no challenge. If anybody comes and challenges the same,
ठीक है.
so the actions has to be seen and decided according to the facts and circumstances and the evidence which is led in the case.
एंड सर वन मोर थिंग, सर मान लीजिए बेटी की शादी है, उसमें गिफ्ट करना है. अब उसमें एक लैविश मैरिज है और एक नेसेसिटी वाली मैरिज है.
ठीक है जी.
तो उसमें क्या बैलेंस है एज पर इनकम टैक्स एक्ट? जैसे अगर हम गिफ्ट्स में जाते हैं इनकम टैक्स एक्ट में, तो सेक्शन 56 के अकॉर्डिंग हम 50,000 रुपीज का गिफ्ट दे सकते हैं.
Question is, it depends upon the total ownership of the property by the co-personally.
Right, sir.
अगर आपके पास 10 प्रॉपर्टीज हैं, एक को आपने बेच के शादी कर भी दी, then that will depend upon that. Secondly, if you have only 2 properties or 1 property and you sell that property, and it cannot be justified, so it will depend upon that.
So that means the level of necessity will depend upon the standard of living of the parties.
Yes. Ambani's ने जैसे शादी की, they have made a good show, lavish spending,
Right,
and
right.
out of their own ownership, it is only a peanuts. But for a person like us, it is a Herculean task. So it depends upon facts and circumstances of the case.
Right, right.
So, because one thing is very clear in law is that you cannot categorize and give the example of each and everything.
Correct.
अगर हम वो सारी एग्जांपल्स दे दें तो फिर क्या होगा? अल्टीमेटली कुछ भी नहीं, तो लॉ इतने बढ़ जाएंगे. एंड सेकेंडली, इन वन ऑफ द जजमेंट्स इट वाज सेड that human mind has no limitations and it can devise any such plea which becomes available to him in the facts and circumstances of the case. Our mind में तो बहुत कुछ आता है, and we can devise so many pleas or so many things on account of which we can manipulate the things. So it depends upon the facts and circumstances of the case. That is why discretion has been given to the judges. But that discretion again has to be used like a prudent man, ordinary prudent man. क्योंकि जो Contract Act में दिया है सारा, that law is based on the interpretation given by a ordinary prudent man. आम आदमी, आम एक एवरेज आदमी क्या सोचता है? अब मेडिकल नेग्लिजेंस के केसेस की बात कीजिए. The amount of care is not required of an extraordinary skilled person. कि हर बंदा अगर हार्ट का ऑपरेशन कर रहा है तो he must be doctor trained. There a person of ordinary average intelligence is doing that operation according to the norms fixed in that particular field.
Approved medical practice.
Then he cannot be held to be guilty.
Sir, God's grace. Sir, I say God's grace जो ये कोटेशन बनाई है, ignorantia juris non excuse act. Ignorance of law is no excuse. It's a safe saver for advocates कि गलत एडवाइस पे भी पेनल्टी नहीं लगेगी.
Yes, but the thing is that I can give you a contrary judgment of the Supreme Court of India, 1979 Supreme Court, which says that ignorance of law is an excuse. You are not supposed to know each and every law.
Is that so?
Is that so? It is so. But one exception can be carved out in that judgment is that it depends upon whether the act complained of is admitting some penal consequences. आप कहिए जी कि मेरे को तो पता नहीं था मर्डर कर दिया तो 302 में मेरे को फांसी की सजा होगी. So there you can't treat ignorance of law.
I think that can be a mitigating circumstance, but absolute ignorance of law cannot be permitted.
up to mitigating circumstances है, मगर देखिए एक बात समझिए कि हमारे 1500 से ऊपर एक्ट है, तो आप बता सकते हो कि 1500 से कौन से एक्ट है?
नहीं सर, 50 भी डिफाइन करना मुश्किल है.
1500 के नाम भी नहीं ले सकते. पंजाब के ही एक्ट बता दीजिए कितने हैं, या हरियाणा के ही एक्ट बता दीजिए कितने हैं. So if you have made the violation of certain civil rights, then certainly you can always believe that okay, I never knew the law. But as far as the criminal proceedings are concerned, which admit of some penalty or some conviction, there you can't plead ignorance of law. It is 1979, I think pages 700 something, I will give you the citation, which says that ignorance of law is an excuse. So our Supreme Court can go both ways. It is a double-edged sword.
ऐसे तो हमारे हाई कोर्ट की जजमेंट है that the judge is not supposed to know the entire law,
Yes,
but the
Justice
lawyer is supposed to know the entire law.
Justice Rana is there.
Justice Rana.
At least he had the courage to admit the fact openly and publicly.
जिंदर साहब